The largest bill that we're going to have in retirement, believe it or not, isn't shelter. It isn't food. It's not even beef prices or gasoline prices right now. Even at these crazy levels, those aren't the big ones. It's probably going to be taxes. Everything about an individual person can completely change what they need to do for their tax design. For every human being out there, I have yet to find one that doesn't need to have a proper amount of money in all three buckets. So we basically have our taxable account. So that's kind of like having CDs at the bank that's not in our IRAs, or our stocks that we were given by our grandparents or our parents, things like that. Those are basically taxable accounts. Every year, we settle up essentially with the IRS, take care of that tax obligation, and then we go about our own thing. If we don't sell those stocks or those assets, often there's not a huge tax bill, although sometimes there can be on interest earned and dividends paid and things like that. So that's taxable. Our tax-deferred bucket, and this is where most Americans, we were taught, we were trained, we were sold on the idea of put that money in that tax-deferred bucket and give the government an IOU. It's like, hey, let me put this money in here. I'm not going to pay any taxes before it goes in. Let's let it grow. But I have an IOU out there. And when I pull that money out, the portion that I pull out, then I'm going to have to pay the government. That's when I pay my taxes. That's a tax-deferred account. So our IRAs and 401ks, that's predominantly where most of us have saved so much money. That's not a bad thing up until the time we start pulling it out. It's actually pretty great. But often we forget about that tax bill. We're going to get back to that in a minute. And then the third bucket, the third one is the Roth bucket or the tax-free bucket. These are dollars that we've already paid taxes on. And so we don't have to pay taxes again if we follow the rules, which means we put those dollars in that bucket. We let it grow and grow and grow and grow, hopefully over a long period of time, or it can even grow and grow and grow and grow until it goes to our grandkids. But the point is that we will potentially never pay taxes again on any of that growth, which is awesome. So what we want to do is good, hardworking, hard-saving Americans. We want to exploit those rules the best way we can by using the laws in our favor. So for most of us, there is truly a mathematical formula. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds like it's deep space or something like that, some science fiction. But no, there is literally a mathematical formula for most of us based on our age, how much money we want to spend, and where we pull those dollars from to figure out how much money we should have in each bucket between tax-free, tax-deferred, and taxable. If we could generate an extra $20,000 or $30,000 of more income from your exact same portfolio, would you spend it? Now, here's the amazing thing. Everyone says something different. Some people say, well, could I potentially run out of money if I have that? No. Absolutely not. It's just we're going to be spending some more money instead of saving some more money. Some people say, oh my gosh, John, that would change everything. I could do that Viking River cruise we talked about. I could rescreen the back porch just like we have talked about for the last 15 years. I absolutely would use that money. Well, if we're going to use that money, believe it or not, it changes our tax strategy. Now, there are others on the other side that say, John, if you gave me an extra 20 grand, I don't think we'd save it. I mean, we actually did the Viking River cruise and we paid off everything, and we wouldn't mind giving some more money to our kids or grandkids. And just like you've said all the time, do your giving while you're living. But honestly, I don't think we'd spend it. So that means they're going to be a net saver. Now, they have a lot more that we can do when it comes to tax strategies. How do we get the right dollars in the right buckets so that they pay not only the least amount of taxes over the course of their working lives, then over the course of their retired lives, but here's the big one, can we potentially get it at a lower tax rate for their beneficiaries? 3-generational potential wealth transfer. That is where it gets exciting and challenging. But we don't lead there first, because the main thing is, if someone would rather say, John, I love my kids. I love my grandkids. I think they're great, but I educated them. I took care of them. I fed them, I nourished them, I gave them all the things that I could give, and I've kind of done that. This money is for me and mama. This is for us. We want to use this for us. But when they say, I want that last check to bounce to the undertaker, I just smile, because that is truly just a different thought process. It's what they choose to do. And I love it because we can create those strategies. So the reason I'm talking about all this is because many people have never been shared that information. Even if you got a great CPA, he probably does not do what our CPAs in-house do, because our CPAs do not file tax returns. That's not what they do even remotely. What they're looking for is how to strategize and use the tax code as it changes to keep the most money over the course of retirement in our clients' accounts, in their pockets, and to go to their kids, grandkids, great grandkids into a dynasty trust, whatever it is they want. They don't care about the tax code for that minute. They care about what it's going to do over the next 20, 30, 40 years of their lives or their kids' lives. That is what our guys do. So amazingly enough, because people are not aware, oh, I see what you're saying, John. Instead of saving $1,000 in taxes this year by taking this deduction, if I maneuver some money around, we call it asset shifting. If we shift assets correctly, we may save, instead of saving $1,000 this year, we may save $30,000 over the course of our lifetime in retirement. Which would you rather have? Now, some people say, well, John, I'd rather have the $1,000 now. No problem. We can do that. But the majority of people say, are you serious? If I just maneuver this stuff around, I can maybe save 30 grand on my tax bill in the long run, and my kids may not have to pay any taxes. Yeah. Well, why wouldn't I do that? It's up to you. What do you want us to solve for, right? This show is called The Retirement Solution. We want to solve it with you, not for you, with you. You tell us what all of the variables are, and we want to find out mathematically and based on laws, how can we get that right specifically for you. And by the way, this does not mean we're creating the perfect plan. There is no such thing. We literally just want to create a plan that you can stick with, that you understand, and that not only works today, but as it evolves and as life changes and throws us curveballs, it's flexible enough to change with us. That's what it's about. You may have a great CPA and a great financial guy and a really good insurance guy, but if they don't talk to each other, then not a single one of them know how to fix your problems. And if they don't tell you that you have a problem, then you'll never know, especially if you've never had a written tax design done in your portfolio. So if there's one thing that we can plan for over a 20, 25, 30, 35-year retirement, let's see if we can knock off a good portion of one of the biggest bills we're going to have and fix that tax problem. If we do that well, chances are we're going to have a lot more money in our pockets to do the things we want to do, to give the money we want to give, to live the life that we want to live. There's a lot of people, they're smart, they get their MBAs, they did a great job making all the money, but making the money is kind of like climbing up the mountain. When you climb up the mountain, it literally requires a slightly different type of guide when you're going up as opposed to when you come down the mountain. And I know this because I have a lot of friends and they actually do this, what they call Everesting, where they climb mountains like to the point to where like it's getting up to the top of Mount Everest. So even though they may not be going up that huge mountain, they may be going up a mountain like 18 or 25 times to equate to that. It requires a different Sherpa, if you will, or a different guide on going up the mountain than going down. Why is that? Because on your way up, most of the time we have energy. We have the ability, we have stamina. The where we put our feet is very different. How we harness and anchor ourselves to maintain safety is very different. Now, when we get to the top and we're on our way down, guys, it changes. All of a sudden, we're exhausted. We're tired. We may be a little beaten up from that trek up, and on our way down, it requires a lot more safety precautions. And believe it or not, where do most of the deaths happen on a mountain? On the way down. And so no different on climbing a mountain versus climbing a portfolio or climbing the retirement mountain, if you will. On our way down, it often requires a different set of eyes, a different strategy, or a different guide to do that. So even if you've done an awesome job, maybe you got into SpaceX when it was private. Maybe you invested in Apple the day that it was on the market. Maybe you did all these wonderful things. Awesome. You created a fortune. The question is, how do we hold on to it? How do we keep it? How do we keep it out of Uncle Sam's hands? And then how do we keep it for our children and grandchildren to use slightly, if not completely different strategies? So even if you've got good stuff, if you're on your way down the mountain, maybe you could get a second set of eyes just to make certain that we don't have any missteps.